Okay, this is 9.3. Use multiplication and division equations to solve problems. In the previous lesson, you learned to solve addition equations with a variable by subtraction. How can you solve a multiplication equation? So we're going to do just like what we did. Add, we use the opposite of subtracting, so we're actually going to be dividing. Let's look at this first section. Solve and write multiplication equations. We're going to use the division property of equality. So we're going to divide the same number from each side of the equation. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So the division sign didn't show up here, but I'm going to put it in here. So the opposite of multiplying, because a letter and number next to each other is multiplication, is division. When I do that, that goes away. And then I'm going to divide by 2 over here. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And because this is a basic question, I know that 2 times what is 6? 2 times 3 is 6. Let's check these out over here. A letter and a number next to each other means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. We need to get this variable y itself, so we need to get this 4 and kick it over here. So the opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. So g equals 24 divided by 4 is 6. Next one. 5 times d equals 30. The opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5, and we're doing that on both sides. 30 divided by 5 is 6, because 5 times 6 is 30. We're throwing some decimals in here now. The opposite of multiplying by 1.5 is dividing. Remember, a letter and a number next to each other means multiplication. If you need to be using your calculator on these, you can. 3 divided by 1.5 is 2. Here, the opposite of multiplying by 2.5 is dividing by 2.5. 5 divided by 2.5, we get 2. Let's look down here. When we're solving and writing division equations, we're going to use the multiplication property of equality because multiplying is the opposite of division. We're going to multiply the same number from each side of the equation. Okay, so multiply the same number from each side of the equation. Now, again, when I copied mine, it didn't bring over my division signs. So this should really say a divided by 3 equals 7. The opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So 7 times 3 is 21. So 20, if I plug my 21 back in for A, 21 divided by 3 is 7. Let's look up here. Remember, this way is just another way of showing division. So the opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. Goes away. We're going to kick it to this side. 5 times 4 is 20, so P equals 20. The opposite of dividing by 6 is multiplying by 6. We have to do that on both sides. N equals 60 because 10 times 6 is 60. Our next one, got some bigger numbers here. The opposite of dividing by 13 is multiplying by 13. 14 times 13 is 182. The opposite of dividing by 3.2 is multiplying by 3.2. So 4.7 times 3.2, C equals 15.04. Let's look at these three down here. The opposite of multiplying by 7 is dividing by 7. So 119 divided by 7, x equals 17. The opposite of dividing by 6 is multiplying by 6. We have to do that on both sides. 9 times 6 is 54. So x equals 54. And our last one right here, the opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. 1.85 divided by 5, x equals 0.37. Let's take a look on the back. We're on check understanding and what do you remember? We're going to throw some number lines in now to you and see what you remember about those. It says Mr. Poyser uses 4 2/3 cups of flour to make 7 dozen oatmeal raisin cookies. How many cups of flour does he need to make a dozen cookies? We're going to use this equation. The opposite of multiplying by 7 is dividing by 7. So let's remember how to type a mixed number into our calculator. 4 unit 2/3 divided by 7. And since I have these little numbers there, that means it can simplify. So you're going to hit the simp button, hit equals. We get 2/3. So C equals 2/3 cups. And we're going to take 2/3 and we're going to put it on the number line. So when I put it on the number line, I notice that there's 1, 2, 3 marks. So we're counting by thirds. So 1/3, 2/3. Our dot is right here. It's been a while since we put things on a number line. Hopefully you remember. 4 friends equally share the cost of lunch. Each person pays $14. How much is the total of the bill? Here it is set up for us. The opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. So we're going to multiply by 4. B equals 14 times 4. 56 is our answer there. It says how much, so we're going to label it with a dollar sign. And then here's 55. 56 is all the way over here. And the what do you remember? So I have the number line set up for you. The opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Then we'll put it on the number line right there. The opposite of multiplying by 12 is dividing by 12. 60 divided by 12 gives us 5. And there's our number. The opposite of multiplying by 9 is dividing by 9. 171 divided by 9. X equals 19. The opposite of multiplying by 9/5 is dividing by 9/5. So let's take a look about what that looks like in our calculator. I have 2 7/10 divided by 9/5. I'm going to hit simp. And simp again. And again. We get 1 1/2. So x equals 1 1/2. Right there. Our last question is opposite of multiplying by 1.9 is dividing by 1.9. So 4.75 divided by 1.9, I got 2.5. So here's 2, here's 0.5. The opposite of dividing by 5 is multiplying by 5. 3 times 5 is 15, so x equals 15. 14's here, 16's here, so 15 has to be right there. The opposite of dividing by 6 is multiplying by 6. 15 times 6. X equals 90. The opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. 28.80 times 4. X equals 115.2. And that is it for this lesson.